Hello, everybody. This is the weekly preview video for September 5th through 9th. And this video should be pretty short. I am really loving getting to know your students as they work on their personal narratives and see how they work, and they're sharing out some of their stories. And I'm really just appreciating getting to know your students and work with your students. So next week, they're going to finish those narratives. So I'm so excited to finally be able to read them in whole. So let's jump right in. Obviously, Monday is Labor Day, no school. Yay. Tuesday, we will be doing a goal setting activity with their iReady scores. So you've already received their iReady scores, or you should have. I sent them home and told them to give them to you. But if you didn't get those, let me know. But we're going to have a goal setting discussion with the students about, hey, here's an area I had some strengths, and here's some areas I could grow in, and what are my goals for December, and then again in April as we progress in this course and in this content, and then in this test. We will also, students will have the class period to start their final draft of their narratives. Today, Thursday the 1st, they edited them. So they will have the class period to write that, and it shouldn't take too long because most of them are like 2 to 3 pages tops. Some of your students wrote a ton, so they might end up with homework. But most students should be able to finish that in class. Students will also work on their publication, which I will explain to you what that means. I've talked to students about it, but I'll tell you what it means in a minute. And then on Wednesday, we will review academic language scripts of just how to communicate when we're sharing out work and things like that. Although students will not be sharing their narratives because a lot of them are writing about personal things, and so we're just not going to be sharing them. But we'll address how to have those academic conversations, which we'll review that over and over throughout the year. Students will, again, have a little bit of time to work on their final copies of their narratives, but mostly that day should be set aside for working on their publication. One issue is that probably first period and part of second period are going to potentially be impacted by the school-wide evacuation, which last I heard is happening on Wednesday. So those students will not have all or any of that class period to work on that. So they should work really hard on Tuesday, and they might end up with some homework, but nothing they can't handle. On Thursday, students will submit their final narratives and their presentations or their publications, and then we will do our grammar lesson because then on Friday we are going to go to the library. And if we have our Chromebooks, it's a big if we have our Chromebooks, they will do their MEMBing and no reading diagnostics. So just a quick reminder about Chromebooks really is that if and once students have them, it is really important as a family to help them establish a pattern of having a place to just immediately charge it when it gets home. It is strongly being suggested that students do not bring their chargers because they are financially responsible for their chargers and they just lose them, or they're being kind and they lend them to somebody else and it never comes back. So it is being strongly suggested just keep that at home, plugged in, and or whatever, and then as soon as they get home, plug it in and charge it. And then in the morning, remembering to put it back in the backpack. There's not a lot of places for kids to charge around a classroom, and there's not going to be a lot of spares, if at all, for students to borrow if they forget a Chromebook or it's not charged. So they might end up having to handwrite everything that everyone else is doing on the computer, or writing it and then doing the work later. Is just much easier, and if they charge it and then remember to bring it. And especially for those 6th graders, parents, they might need some help with this routine in the beginning of the year. They're young. It's totally age appropriate that they would need some help establishing that routine. If you need any ideas on how to do that, this is my 3rd year working with Chromebooks, so I definitely have ideas if suggestions if you want them. The other thing is that if and when we get Chromebooks, we will probably go back into using Membean or start using Membean, which is our vocabulary program online. That program does cost $3 a year, but it's for the whole year. It's annual, so it will last your student over the summer. So if there's like, hey, I don't have anything to do this summer, do some Membean, that kind of thing. And if there's any issue at all for your family paying that, just contact me. There are scholarships available. You do just pay that online through their Membean account. Do not send cash. And they don't have accounts yet. They do not have accounts until further notice. So don't worry about that right now, but just a heads up that might come up. Okay. Oh, let me talk about the publication. So there's one little extra aspect to the narrative that I'm having students do. They get to pick one of these 4 items where they can create a poster board, which, by the way, poster board can literally just be like a piece of like printer paper or construction paper, or it can be a full-on poster board if that's what you want and you have it. But basically, they're just going to create a visual presentation of their narrative. They can also write 2 poems that relate to their narrative. They can create an image album, sort of like an old photo album related to their narrative. It can be photos or drawings or a mix. And then finally, the last thing is they could dress up as a character or element or time of their personal narrative. Like I know one student, his story is about gaining an extra belt in karate, and he is going to bring his belt. That's fine. Just as I'm telling the students, their dress still has to be school appropriate 100%. And of course, they cannot bring anything with it that is not school appropriate. When in doubt, ask or just leave it home. And yeah, so there's that. I'm guessing a lot of students won't choose to do this. Most students will do either the poster board, the poetry, or the photo album. So that is something that they'll have time in class to work on, but they might need to work on a little bit at home if they get behind or if they're being really, really elaborate in their design, something like that. Okay, I think that's it. Thanks so much. Bye.